Welcome back to the Graham Stephan Show. My name is Graham, and welcome to my show. And today we're going to be speaking with Julian, who turned a $3,000 investment in Ethereum that he took out with student loans into a $250,000 profit, and then put that on buying a piece of land on an island with no electricity, no running water, none of this. So his question is, what is it like to build a property on completely empty, vacant land on an island, and whether or not that's actually worth it? So anyway, let's bring him on the show and see what's going on. So Julian, welcome to the Graham Stephan Show. What's going on?
Hey, not much, man. I'm just doing some work here, but excited to talk to you.
Excited to be talked to, if that, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so what's going on?
So, my name is Julian Figueroa, and basically I have a kind of an interesting story of how I came into, let's just say, some sort of financial freedom. I was going to university in 2016, and I just graduated, and I had about $3,000 left to my name in Canadian, and I did a little research into cryptocurrencies. I've kind of dabbled in them over the years, but I got serious into one called Theorem back in early, kind of like mid 2016. Put the remainder of my student loans into it, and that was a kind of a crazy investment because I initially put in money. It dropped 50%. I lost half of that $3,000, but I thought, well, I can always make that back. And then, of course, if you know what happened in 2017, the rest is history. I managed to make a pretty clean exit out of Ethereum. And I decided to put about 90% of that money into buying a piece of land on this island called Gambier Island. And basically, if anybody lives in Vancouver or knows about Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada, it's one of the most expensive cities in the world to live in, or at least the housing costs are. It's like $1.2 million for a median. You're paying $800,000 for a one-bedroom here. Yep. So I thought, instead of maybe putting a down payment towards getting a condo or a house, why not just see what I could do getting land? And so there's this island kind of, let's say about a couple miles away from Vancouver, 40 minutes by a speedboat from Vancouver downtown, that you can get to, and you can buy raw land there, 5 acres. I got 5 acres there for about $179,000. And I thought, well, that'll be kind of my, that'll be the proof of whatever I did in crypto kind of worked. And I thought, this might be a really good investment down the road if I develop it and build on it. And so my question for you is, I've watched your show a little bit, and I've seen that sometimes you do your own home renovations. You did kind of the Spanish tiling in your duplex, but you've also recommended against, building things entirely from scratch on real estate as an investment.
Right.
And I'm kind of curious, what are your thoughts on millennials like myself kind of buying land and learning the tools of the trade to kind of build up a home from scratch? Do you think these are valuable skills and experiences for later endeavors in real estate?
Yeah, so let's start here really quick. So I'm curious about this whole Ethereum thing. I mean, that seems like a video on its own right there. So really quick. So I want to. So wait. So let me get this right. You used a student loan to buy Ethereum?
Yeah, I had leftover money from my student loans. Yeah.
So how much money did you make?
So I put in $3,000. I got into Ethereum at about $13, and I saw it. I saw it drop down to $6, so it dropped down 50% in about 2 to 3 days after I bought it. But I thought, that's money that it was $3,000. I'm going to make that back in no time. So I thought I'll just stay on the road with it, still do my research into it. And then in 2017, the run started around $10. It went to $50 in a couple days. I actually sold a little bit then, and then obviously it went from $50 to $100 to $300 to $600 to $1,200 US. So from $6 US to $1,200 US in about a year and a couple months. It was insane. Probably the craziest run I've ever seen. So I sold a little bit all on the way up. I think the average price I exited, most of it was around $600. So I would sell a little bit at $50, $100, $300, $600, $900. It was a crazy emotional time. Anybody who's been to that whole Bitcoin thing, the mood swing, you see yourself lose $50,000 in a day or make that much in a day. It's pretty wild.
It's crazy to see it right now. It's $184.60 right now.
Yeah. It came down really heavily. Yeah. But it's it's still in its infancy, I really think.
So what was your total profit from that, from a $3,000 investment?
Total profit was probably around, I think all in all about around 200,000. I still have like 10%. I kept 10%, and I watched that go down quite a bit. But
Right.
I still want some skin in the game, and I actually run a YouTube channel where I kind of go over crypto concepts. It's called Kinetic Crypto, and that's kind of what I've put my work into because I still believe in the space. And
yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if you could say this. Did you pay taxes on this? Does the Canadian government go after you for taxes on this?
I paid my fair share of taxes on it, but the problem is when you're kind of trading and averaging around, it's tricky. And actually, the exchange that I cashed out most of was this exchange called Quadriga CX, and there's a wild story behind that. I don't know if you've heard, but like the founder died of Crohn's disease while he was on a trip to India. The whole exchange went bankrupt. Creditors are owed like $190 million. There's no record of transactions. So,
I heard about that, and I thought there was a conspiracy that he faked. He faked that so he can go and steal all the money, right? Something like that.
Yeah, I made a video on that whole thing too, but it's really hard for the CRA to do anything about that because again, they're probably owed money. The transactions are hard to find. I did my best to figure out how much I owed on it and paid that through like capital gains. But again, like
fair enough.
Going through like a year plus transactions to figure it out, it's kind of tough.
All right. So anyway, interesting story. Congratulations. I think people do a lot worse with crypto earnings, I'm glad you didn't go and buy a Lamborghini. You didn't go and buy something stupid. You bought land. So at the worst case scenario, like at least you're putting it in something safe. Here's the thing, though. I hate land as an investment, and I think it's more like throwing a dart and hitting somewhere on a board and hoping you hit a bullseye. Because that's the way, in my opinion, land really is. Because you own land, okay? You can't really do anything with it. It's not producing income. And some people say, well, I could turn it into a parking lot. You're not going to turn your land into a parking lot unless it's in like such a prime location, in which case you're buying it specifically to develop. I mean, because otherwise, most people, you can't do anything with the land, So you have a plot of land that you put your money into, that you're paying taxes on every year in terms of like property taxes, and it doesn't make you any money. So you're sitting on this thing that's costing you money, that there's no way to really monetize that. Besides, either number one, you got to spend years of your life developing a property, or number two, you got to sell it to someone else, and then it's their problem. That's really what land is. So if you want to develop a property, you're basically in for a full-time job and hundreds of thousands, if not, $1 million+ that you're going to have to sink into this from your own money. It's not worth it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not worth it. What's your return on that? And how are you going to get the money?
So the thing that is interesting about this, and I think probably to add on to what you're saying about this kind of piece of land you can't do anything with, the piece of land that I bought is on an island. It's like a 40-minute boat ride out of Vancouver. There's no ferry with cars that goes to it. You have to go on a passenger ferry, like it takes 20 minutes. There's no electricity going into it. There's no town, there's no hospital, there's nothing on this island, but it's still really close to Vancouver. But the thought was for me that at the very least, by putting these things on the island, I am increasing its value, and it's not a drain on me in terms of like resources. I assume, I probably could have put that money into getting like a little rental or an Airbnb in another city and making some passive income off of that. But I also thought, well, this would be a really good opportunity to also get in touch with learning about the land and learning about, how to build things and how to be kind of like self-sufficient. And I wonder if there's really like value in that. Like it's not monetary value, but I think there is some sort of value in just learning how to do all these things from scratch.
So that's a hobby.
I don't know.
You bought a very expensive hobby. Because think about it. Like that makes it, everything you just said makes it so much worse. You're never going to be able to build anything on that. You realize how difficult that it is going to be. I want to say nearly impossible. Impossible for you to do anything with this land unless you want to just say, ooh, I own a little bit of that island over there, and I set up a tent, and every now and then I can go and stay there. That's realistically what you did. Because you can't, you realize the cost of bringing any sort of electricity or anything over there is basically, it's either going to be really, really, really expensive. It's not going to be worth it because you're going to be the only plot of you're going to be the only house on this island. But basically,
well, there are actually other houses in the neighborhood, but yeah, it's all off grid.
You're going to have to do everything off grid. It's going to be insanely expensive. Yeah. Bringing materials over there is going to be expensive. It's not like you can just drive a truck over there. Everything just shot up in like 5 times in price. Everything. So, if you want to have a good time with this land, sure. If you want to, camp on the land, sure. If you want to have a place that's off the grid, I don't know how you're going to, make that happen, but sure. I think it's a good hobby. I think you could have done a lot worse with your money, and maybe one day it's going to be worth more than what you paid for it, but it's an uphill battle on something like that.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thanks a bunch. Appreciate that.
You got it. Thank you. Really appreciate it, and let me know what happens.
Awesome. Have a good one.
You too. Bye. So with that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, if you guys enjoy videos like this, make sure to destroy the like button, destroy the subscribe button, and notification bell. Also, feel free to add me on Instagram. I post it pretty much daily, so if you want to be a part of it there, feel free to add me there. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and until next time.